Communication is the most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to relationships. Communication is also the hardest piece of the puzzle when it comes to relationships. I've learned this the hard way from experience. I have always been able to communicate with my customers, with my peers. In the business world, I'm the best communicator ever. But when it came to my family and my friends, my loved ones, I was unable to communicate effectively. And it really became evident a few years ago how incompetent I actually was at communicating. I would come up with these scenarios and, have this whole thing in my mind about what was going to happen before it ever happened. I would become pre-pissed in a situation thinking about what the other person was going to do or say before it ever even happened. And so before I got into a conversation or communicated about an issue, I already saw the end in my mind when it wasn't even an end. So I'm here to tell you that you can change the way that you communicate. And communication with your children and your parents and your lover, it's so important. You have to be able to understand the other person's feelings. First of all, you have to give them a chance to explain their feelings. There's a reason why you guys are at odds. And you have an opinion and they have an opinion. You have a desire, they have a desire, and they aren't congruent. You have to try to understand where they're coming from and let them see where you're coming from. You're not inside their head and they're not inside yours. So you have to actually tell them what you're feeling and thinking. They don't just know by osmosis. Even though you think they should know, they live with you or they're around you all the time, and you think they should know that you've had a bad day, you've got an issue at work. You think that they should know about all that stress going on in your head. But here's the thing. They have stress going on in their head too. They might have a problem at work. They might have a communication issue with someone. You don't know what's going on in their head, even though you're around them all the time. And this is the thing, like, even though two people are cohabitating, if you're living in the same house, everybody has their own struggles, and they don't just come out and puke it all over you every single day. Most of us internalize the things, but expect other people to understand us anyway. And that's not the way it works. You have to make it a point to communicate. When your spouse comes home from work, make it a point to ditch everything and greet him in a loving manner. He will in turn reciprocate to you. When your children come home from school, stop what you're doing and greet them and actually find out about their day. I know you've been busy. And I know that you've had a long day. And I know that you have 1,000 things going on in your mind. But this is part of being a well-rounded, happy individual. Just communicating, simply communicating on the very basic of levels when you greet someone is going to make all the difference in the world. Also, if you have an issue with someone, simply talking it out and confronting them in a passive way, not an aggressive way. It's important to actually talk about what's going on. You know you have a problem, they know you have a problem, and if you both avoid it, nothing's ever going to get solved. And it just festers and festers and festers and becomes this great big deal when originally it was probably a much smaller deal. Don't let things fester. Talk them out. I just wanted to tell you in this little video how important communication is. We all communicate in our own way, and we all have our own style. But think about the style in which you communicate and whether you could do it better. Whether you could just give a little more of yourself, whether you could get out of your head for a minute and give some love and some good juju to whoever it is that you're interacting with. This will make you a happier person, and it'll make all the people in your lives happier people.